Ampersand is a fairly recent change to our bigger plan that we had. So we started off with the Vibgyor chain of schools, like I told you. Vibgyor is a private chain of schools. We almost have about 40 schools across 7 to 8 cities in the country, and we have, in a way, perfected the art of school management or running schools, right from the end-to-end services of schooling. This includes academics, transportation, school supplies, etc. So what we decided to do was to take all the expertise of running schools and took it to the government sector and added healthcare and skilling to that space. So Ampersand is a brand that has been created to transform lives across the country and parts of the world, especially the developing nations. And when we say transform lives, we are talking about transforming lives right from when the child starts his education, which is the preschool early years, all the way up to the employment stage. So preschool to main schooling to skilling, employment, and we also add in healthcare to this whole process, so that overall we are able to touch all aspects of human life. That's really what Ampersand Group does. So initiatives of Ampersand, we've done a few good work within some of the state governments. In Mumbai, for example, we work closely with the Mumbai Municipal Corporation, and we have a close association with their balwadis. We run their balwadis. Almost 700 odd balwadis is what we run. We also run a few Anganwadis for the WCD department in Nasik. We have done a range of teacher training programs for many government schools, both in the central and the state level. And we also run a few state level run schools in one of the northern states of Punjab. So in a way, Ampersand has now started to work on all aspects of preschooling all the way up to school, up to the skilling space. On the skilling side, we have also done a lot of skilling programs, both in schools. We almost have about 1,500 schools where we have skilled almost 75,000 students, from their ninth standard onwards. And we also do adult skilling, especially in trades like hospitality, healthcare, retail, etc., under the DDU GKY programs. And this is happening in Jammu and Kashmir and Bihar. Well, I think the K-12 ecosystem is going through a very, very interesting phase. We've got almost 1.5 million schools in the country, as you well know. And there is still a lot of demand for good schools, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. I think on the good side, there are some exciting things happening. One, I think there is a massive change in the whole education policy making. I think the government is about to bring out a new national education policy after almost 30 years, and everybody is waiting for that to get published with a lot of excitement. Number two, the government has actually made a new program called Samagra Shiksha, where they have integrated pre-primary schooling into the main schooling. Number three, edutech is now starting to become a very, very important aspect of schooling. And I think there's a lot of edtech companies starting to work with academia and trying to bring that change in the way lesson plans are taught, especially for the new generation children who are so much more exposed to the technology world and who are so much more exposed to what's happening around the globe. So I think education system is going through a very interesting phase. At the same time, there are a few areas that we must try and probably, I won't say we must correct it, but we must be aware of this and we must all try to bring in a change. One, I think the teachers, somewhere the teaching profession needs to be given a slightly better status. I think many of the teachers today are probably choosing this profession more by default and not by choice. We need to make it a profession of choice. Number two, I think the government and the private sectors should start working together instead of working in silos. Number three, I think a lot more work needs to be done on expanding the whole edutech and the whole technology aspect of teaching. I think it should go beyond urban and the high-end private schools. It should go into tier 2, tier 3, and the rural areas. And number four, and slightly controversial, but I personally believe that it's time to bring in profit advocacy into schooling. I think it's very important for us to ensure that this becomes like another industry where the best of the best bring in the best of the best of education and offer the kind of value that is to be given for the kind of price it takes from the market. All these places we have associated ourselves with the Ministry of Rural Development, and they have brought out programs called DDU-GKY. DDU-GKY stands for Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Vikas Yojana, and this is a program which is brought out to take care of adult youth who are probably not yet been placed in industries. So they need to be trained and then they need to be placed. We have taken the responsibility or the mandate of training and placing them. So there are close to 3,000, more than 3,000 candidates that we are right now training in Jammu and Kashmir and Bihar in the fields of healthcare, hospitality, and retail. Our endeavor would be to try and ensure that all of them get placed in the right industries so that they can become economically independent. We already have passed out about a couple of batches, and I had the privilege of talking to some of them and going for their certification program. And I think they're a bunch of extremely sharp, exciting young people who are waiting to go there and do something for themselves. And I'm very, very happy that Ampersand is associated with helping them go through their goals. COVID-19 has probably changed everybody's lives in some way or the other. And I think almost all sectors have been affected. Education certainly, once upon a time, one used to say that education is insulated against these kind of shocks. But I think this is one particular incident that has even changed that sector, especially because school children are unable to now go to school and sit and study inside the school buildings. So to that effect, I think there has been a change. I would say that it has had an effect on students, teachers, parents, and even the school management and the trustees. So in a way, each of these four categories of people, I think there are things that one needs to do to try and cope up with this problem. Ampersand Group has always believed in technology and the power of technology to try and scale up and delivery of education and lesson plans. And therefore, this is the right opportunity for us to really walk the talk. And we have started doing that. So most of our private schools under the Vibgyor chain has been given this facility of teaching online. But we're also going beyond private schools, and we've started to talk to state governments to try and see how we can use our technology to try and even get the government students to try to start picking up and continuing the studies without disruption through online methods. So in a way, I think Ampersand Group is all our investments into technology has started to pay off in terms of delivery now, and we believe that this could be a watershed moment for us to change the way education is delivered, especially as we reach out to the mass set of students across the country. I think we must all realize that if tomorrow we need to really bring in efficiency to educate our children, and there are close to more than 300 million students around. So I think we need to understand that this cannot work without a proper association or a participation or a collaboration between the government and the private players. The government has got the infrastructure, they've got the ability to scale, they've got, or I won't say ability to scale, but they're present in the length and breadth of the country, and they've got all the necessary, policy level requirements to actually make this happen. The private players, on the other hand, has got the tools. They've got the ability to bring in those tools that can help scale. And I think the private players could bring in that whole execution prowess, which probably the government may find it a bit challenging, given the complex structure that we have. So if the two come together under a public-private partnership model, I think it will help the outcome of these children. The case in point is what we have done with BMC, Bombay Municipal Corporation in Maharashtra, where the challenge that BMC was facing was a depleting set of students in their schooling or in their schools. So the number of students in classrooms had started to go down. And we realized that the best way to get that up is to try and increase the number of students who get into the preschools. Because if the preschool period goes through well, then they can get into the main schooling, by default, they can start going into the main schools and the numbers would go up. So that way, I think it has been successful because when we took over the management of about 700 odd balwadis, I think not more than 8 to 10 children were there per class. And today we are easily seeing almost about 20, 25 children per class. So there is a certain change that we have brought in the way we teach. There is a certain amount of empowerment that we have given to the teachers, especially the staff, the teachers and the assistant teachers who teach in these balwadis. And, a combination of technology and scripted curriculum methods have actually changed the way the children absorb that early stage learning. And I think if this continues as a model, I think the PPP model is going to be a very, very effective way of changing the way efficiency is brought into early child education and education in the later years. I think 2021 we want to try and reach out to as many lives as possible, right from pre-primary all the way through adult schooling and employment. And therefore, the only way to do that is to really harness technology in a big way. We have invested into a lot of platforms. Our chairman, Mr. Rustam Kerawala, is passionate and extremely committed, and he's leading from the front to try and use technology as an important platform to bring in what we call as a phygital way of learning. Right, phygital way is a combination of physical and digital, and that is the way to go forward. So in terms of agenda, I think, let me put it this way: you will see technology from Ampersand, which is going to be deployed to try and really change the way education and schooling and classroom lessons are delivered. We'd like a child in the remotest part of the country to be able to access this through a simple hand device, which in any case today, if you notice around, hand devices and smartphones are really on the rise, and definitely digital footprint is going to be across the country. Now, to use that and access education is our primary intent. We also intend to try and use technology to improve the way vocational education and skilling is offered to the masses, especially adult youth. And number three, and I'm also talking about skilling in the higher order areas, Industry 4.0, robotics, machine learning, etc. And number three, healthcare is another big area of focus for us, because we see a yawning gap, especially in basic healthcare services in the interior parts of the country. And I think, again, a smart health solution, which brings in technology as a interface between the person who needs healthcare and the doctor who's sitting on the other side. I think that is going to change the way healthcare is going to be delivered, especially into the interior parts of the country. So you'll notice that 2021 is going to be a very, very important year for us. And with the pandemic that is going on, I think a lot of us has been able to sit down, take a pause, and reset the whole processes and reset the way we are trying to strategize for this year. And technology forms a very, very integral part of it.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.